Number 9, the skipper, Patrick Cripps. Pom, it's been almost like a full circle with Cripps in the sense that he started his career at the club, got injured early, broke the leg, didn't see much of him. Then he really just burst onto the scene. He was just this larger than life type character that we turned him into essentially as a fan base and as a club. Could do no wrong. Unfortunately, the last 2 seasons, he's almost been mortalized. And we now remember that he is human and he can get injured, and he has been injured. And he's been impacted by, the health. He's also been impacted, as I'm sure all of them are, with just the pressures of playing in this league, particularly when you're in, a leadership group that he is in, and he is the head of that with Doc. And his form has fluctuated really just based off his own expectations that he set for himself. And I find that we have now come full circle. We've seen the best of him. We've seen the not so best of him. We entered 2022 at a really important time in his career. He's really these are the prime years of his career. And I guess it just begs the question, what are we going to get from the skipper?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because, he's come under a lot of criticism, Cripps. And I think what is impressive is he's still ranked top 20 in the AFL. So, yeah. It's not a bad year, is it, if that's your worst year? And the fact that he was playing hurt, which Teague's agent told us for most of the year, and still is 20th in the league. So I love Cripps. And one thing I've noticed about Cripps is we have a love-hate relationship. I fluctuate with Cripps, but the last couple of months, what I've really enjoyed is hearing him speak and no longer being the head boy as voted for by my mates. He's now speaking like the leader of a football club. And that speech that he just did a couple of weeks ago, it's not Patrick Cripps, big smiles, Zach Fisher's down the back, giggling, and he's holding his giggling in. It's Patrick Cripps, the man, the leader, who's going to drive us into the football club. He's 27 now. He's no longer a child. And I think, I'm going to say it, I reckon it's Brownlow Cripps.
I'm with you. Well, I'm not sure about Brownlow. It's definitely best and fairest Cripps. I think he will be back to his best. I think we've gone through this period with him where we get to 2017, and then I think from that point he becomes, or let's say the end of 2017 / end of 2018, he becomes, the best player one of the best 5 players in the league. 2019 seems to go up another level. I don't really care for seeing 30 touches next to his name. That's not an indicator for me of when he's playing well. When he's playing his best footy, and this is just from my lens, and I'm really keen to see it from your lens and you guys at home, when he's playing his best football, it's when he's tackling and when you see 7 or 8 tackles next to his name, because ultimately when I say we, I mean like the fans, the media, the industry have tried to, once he sort of clocked being an inside midfielder and being a clearance machine and a ball and a tackling machine, we almost decided as an industry, okay, well, now he's got to go forward and kick 25 goals a year and become Dangerfield Dusty and become Lee Matthews or whatever. Whereas I just want to see him have 24, 23 to 25 touches a game, but, something like 8 to 9 tackles a game. I think he's capable of doing it. I know that in the best years of his career, if you look at 2016, he finished the year off with 139 tackles from 21 games. 2018, 138 tackles from 22 games. And 2019, 123 tackles from 20 games. Those are the best years from him because he really, asserted himself. And I think he can intimidate other midfields with, the sheer size of him. And when he's using it, I think that's when he's at his best. I mean, I remember you and I chatted after the first time we played Freo. And if you remember the passage of play where, the young up-and-coming midfielders, Sarong and Brayshaw, they're getting in his face, and he literally lifts up Sarong and he kind of bullies him. Why can't we see that from him this year? I don't see why we can't.
I'm with you. I think one thing that I noticed about Cripps is he gets into these wrestling contests. You saw it with Steele, and people always ask, how does Steele beat him? Steele panders to him, and it's almost like Cripps has got like a childlike instinct to say, I'm bigger and stronger than you. And he loses sight of the fact that Steele's had 28 touches, kicked 2 goals, and created 8 goals, while Cripp has been running around showing him that he can beat him in an arm wrestle. I'm hoping this level of maturity from Cripps comes in the form of, when you saw him against Sydney, I thought Sydney was his best game this year. The 27 touches, 3 marks, 6 goals, 6 tackles, 3 goals. I thought that was Cripps at his best, where he just does his job and he gets the opportunities because he's such a handful. He wasn't getting involved in these little wrestling games. He was just going there, getting the ball, eat, sleep, repeat, and eventually he wears them down. He's like, the old medieval big log hitting against the gate. It'll go eventually. I think that's where Cripper's good, and that's where the maturity comes in. I want to see Cripper like that, where he's switched on, he's focused, and he's like, you know what? If I do my job now, I've got Walsh, I've got Shearer, I've got Hewitt, who, if I don't get the ball out, is going to get the ball out for me. He's got talent around him now, so no longer does he have to do it. Now it comes from when he does it, it's a benefit. So I think, and this is why I say Brownlow Cripps, I've just got a feeling that maturity from Cripps is understated. I think once he gets that maturity, no one can stop him. And he's proved that in 2018, 2019, when really Ringwood under 12s would have battered us. He was the only one who was worth really a paycheck. This is what Cripps has got, a good team now. Imagine what Cripps can do with a good team around him. Then Brisbane games will happen a lot more often.
So you mean, it's a good point, because I remember his early days. He was the extractor. He really became the inside midfielder that we relied on pretty quickly. And it was his ability to get a handball out to a player that was in a better position than what he was. So I think that is part of maturing and part of being a great leader. I think great leaders are those who make others around them better and empower them. I have no doubt whatever is going on the inside and how he speaks to the boys and how he gets around them and how his standards at training. I don't see it, but I have faith that he's doing everything that needs to be done and then some. You don't reach the heights that he has without putting in the work. And I think he's got quite a few more mates now around him that are putting in that type of work, that, real greatness level work. So I guess now it's about, how can he make others around him better and how can he become a better leader? And that's really what I feel like when I wrote this question that we're, sitting below, like, can Cripps reach his best? Well, from my point of view, it's, can he be the best leader? Because what I feel like we don't have just yet is a leadership group who, when they get the ball, I have confidence that they're going to make the right decision. Now, is that something that I'm naive in thinking, because at the end of the day, Cripps doesn't know any better because he's only played in this losing team or, for this losing club? I don't know. I'm hoping that he's got a better panel of coaches around him who are all a lot more experienced than the previous group of coaches around him, led by Michael Voss, who really, if we're going to talk about leadership and captaincy and being the best player amongst other great players, I think when you combine all of that, it sounds good enough. It sounds good to me. It sounds like that is the formula that he needs to reach this level of maturity in his leadership.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it comes with age. I think it comes with responsibility. That's where I think Cripps, I think Cripps is more intelligent than people give him credit for. And I think Cripps will probably take it personally that he backed Bolton heavily. He got fired. He backed Teague very heavily. Like, he was literally hiring statues of Teague at one point to get him the job. He got terminated. And then I thought the best thing that happened to Cripps in his career will be Teague firing pot shots and blaming Cripps in some way for him being fired. Because I think that'll tell Cripps, this isn't a game. No one's your friend in this industry. Everyone's out for themselves. And now it's time to be selfish, Patrick. And the best way he can be selfish is being a leader and driving these boys to the next flag. And I've got a feeling that when you watch Bontempelli, when you watch, and people compare him to Dusty, and honestly, you've got more chance of me being Brad Pitt than Cripps has been Dusty, because the facets are totally different. But Cripps wants to look at Bont, wants to look at Fife, wants to look at Clayton Oliver. These players have something in common with Cripps. And if you go back to the Brisbane game, that wasn't Cripps' skill. in 2019 that got the 38 touches and the goals. Go back and watch it. It's what Bont does. It's what Fife does. It's repetition tires the midfield out. They all had a go in the first half on Cripps, and Cripps was just immense. And what that did is it created space for others. And when that created space for others, they had something else to worry about. And when they had something else to worry about, Cripps took the piss. And more opportunities will come for Cripps. Now this team's better, because then he was playing with players like Mullet and Dave from the Dog and Duck. He's got proper players now. He's got proper players now. So
yeah, he does.
Them opportunities, Richmond are going to be like, shit, we've got to stop Walsh. Chair is tasty. Zach Williams, when he turns up's all right. Jesus, and Cripps. That's where Cripps can impact, I think, by being a leader and going, what am I best at? I'm best at being a force. I'm best at dragging people towards me. If I take two people, Walsh has got no one to take him. Walsh is on his own. And that is where Cripps is. And that's why I think Cripps is Brownlow Cripps. I've got a feeling Max Gorn last year had a lot of criticism going into it. Is Grundy better than him? Oh, Darcy's coming up. Oh, O'Brien's coming up. He was a leader. He destroyed the competition this year. People questioned him. People are questioning Cripps. I think Cripps is going to come back with a bang this year and really let the AFL know he's the big daddy. The others are Mickey Mouse.
100%. I mean, look, we know that there was a situation at the start of 2021 where his back wasn't right. He was having some sort of, I don't know, pain-killing relief, some form of, I mean, having injections in his back. It sounds terrible. I'm sure it wasn't as bad as what it sounds, and I'm sure it's a lot more common than what we know. But the fact was, he just wasn't right from the outset. He just, he wasn't able to be right. I'm not sure what that back issue was to this day. I'm not sure if it still lingers. When you look at the training snaps and the footage, there's no strapping on him. That's generally a good sign. So I think the big hope for me, it's crazy. Cripps has almost become this barometer, because we know that if he's healthy and if he's at his best, he's one of the few players and the few individuals that can make the team a lot better. And he's got that potential to have a type of game that can win you a game of footy. He's just got that in him. And that's what makes him so great. And then I think also the leadership aspect, learning about what it takes. And there has been talk about, should we hand over the captaincy and all of that? I'm so not in that camp. I think part of being a great captain is going through the journey of learning how to be a great leader. I think success, I think the key ingredient to success is failure. And I think he would take lessons from the last two seasons, as I'm sure most of them would. And I don't think it's right to take the captaincy off him. Nowhere near it. I don't think we're there yet.
Oh, I don't think we're anywhere near it. For me, the way I see it is, people talk about last year, take away his Mike Tyson back problem or whatever it was, that his form is down to one person on planet Earth, and that's David Teague. 1000%. He didn't have a back issue. He was fatigued. David Teagued massively. Teague didn't use him right. Teague's whole game plan was built around Cripps being 19 Cripps. And a proper coach wouldn't have made him play. So as soon as I heard that David Teague's agent says Cripps threw him under the bus by demanding to play, the minute Patrick Cripps comes out and says, oh, my leg's sore, I better not play this weekend, is the minute I will be on this show saying trade him. Because the wonderful thing about Cripps is Cripps will go into battle with one leg for this football club. And that's the players. I want them on the field. It's a coach who should say, look, mate, you're no good to me 50%. You're no good to me 75%. I trust my team to cope with you being away. And I think we've got that now. So Cripps, I'm writing off last year. With a coach who actually understands what it takes to play footy at the highest level, and I mean be good at the game, not just be okay in a shit side, be the best there is. Imagine Voss working with Cripps, man.
Can you imagine?
He's learning from not only a great captain, but one of the best midfielders of the last 2 decades. Brownlow Cripps. Take your Brownlow Walsh next year. Brownlow Cripps this year, baby.
That's where the real excitement comes, because when I think about it, it's like Michael Voss walks into Icon Park day one. He has a look around, looks at the list, and he's like, "Are you telling me that I've got Patrick Cripps free of injury, and I get to work with him and make him better?" And when you hear Ollie Wines, I think you brought this quote to my attention. Ollie Wines said that Voss was the greatest motivator he had ever worked with. And that was Ollie Wines is only maybe 1 or 2 years younger than Cripps. And then when you put those pieces together, I mean, Voss must be licking his lips thinking about he's got the best. I still believe when Cripps is at his peak physically and mentally, he's the best inside midfielder in the game. And I think Voss will just love it. He'll know exactly what he's been through. He'll know all about the expectation and playing not only at the highest level, but like in grand finals, in prelims, in the biggest games that there is to play. I just can't see a reality in 2022 where Cripps is not better. I can't.
Oh, everyone in South Australia is making out Ollie Wines is some kind of demigod. But go back to Cripps' 2019 when he won MVP. They're laughable, them Ollie Wines numbers. Actually laughable. And you go back to that Ollie Wines' interview, and it was interesting when he talked about the motivation. He came under the criticism, was offered to be traded out by the club. There was all this criticism. He's too slow. He's not dynamic. He doesn't kick goals. All Wines does is get the ball. We can pay anyone to do that. It was Voss who told him, do what you do well. Go back to basics. And look at him. He won a Brownlow, and he was pretty good. I'll give Wines that. He was pretty good. Cripps is 10 times the footballer Ollie Wines is on his day. Honestly, 2019 Cripps and 2021 Wines, if they had a fight, it would be stopped in the first due to the referee laughing. It's so one-sided. Honestly, Cripps with Voss, it's a dream come true. With a coach that understands his role. And I'm excited because if he can see what Wines did and Cripps just goes back to basics, drops this losing weight, I need to be quicker, I need to kick goals, and goes back to being the specimen that he was. He can't be stopped. Brisbane showed it. They folded under Cripps' pressure, and he can do that now, 2 years older, with a team that is 1,000 times better than the one he matched up with Brisbane that game.
Yeah. I'm excited. This video has got me excited. I'm pumped up again.
Brownlow Cripps, mate. He's taking his Brownlow back, and then he's going to give it to Walsh for 4 years in a row.
Yeah,
this is Cripps' year.
I love it, guys. You at home, talk to us about the Cripps situation, both from a playing point of view and a leadership point of view. What does he need to do? What do you think happens? Let's revisit this video at the end of season 2022. But what are your expectations from Paddy Cripps, and what does it look like for you? Let us know in the comments below.